The results of a biased survey are unreliable at best, but they can also lead to a waste of budget and misguided business decisions. This occurs due to faulty survey design that encourages respondents to give a particular answer. I'm Sabina, a content manager at Survicate. Today we'll concentrate on question bias. Then we'll talk about some do's and don'ts to avoid inaccurate results. What is question bias in surveys? Bias occurs when questions are constructed in a way that makes it difficult or impossible to provide a factual, objective response. For instance, there is the social desirability bias. This is the tendency of respondents to give answers that they believe are socially acceptable or desirable, rather than ones that reflect their own true feelings. For example, if a survey asks, "Do you recycle regularly?" a respondent may say that they do, even if they don't. Note that there isn't even an option to say they don't recycle at all. Another example is the extreme response bias. Some respondents will choose an extreme answer if the question is constructed in such a way that it makes it look like the extreme answer is the correct one. This often happens with scaled questions, like the ones using the Likert scale. To avoid this, you have to make your questions sound neutral and provide options to give a non-extreme answer. For example, always include tiered responses like "I don't know" or "sometimes." And always do your best not to phrase the question in an emotive way, especially if you yourself have a very strong stance on the subject. Both the extreme response and social desirability bias may also be caused by too many questions of the same type being asked one after another. This may even lead to contradictory responses. So, what can you do to make sure your questions are objective and that you are collecting reliable feedback? First of all, don't use loaded questions. These are any questions that include assumptions. For example, the question on the screen assumes that the respondent enjoys going to the movies and always has snacks at the movies. You are setting yourself up for unreliable results from anyone who doesn't enjoy going to the movies or doesn't like to eat during the movies. It would be better to create two separate questions. Do you enjoy going to the cinema? And what kind of snacks do you enjoy eating at the cinema? And make sure to use skip logic, so if the respondent answers they don't like going to the movies in the first questions, they are not even bothered with the follow-ups. Make the first question tiered with some non-extreme responses, and when it comes to the second question, include an other option with an ability to provide more detail. You are unlikely to exhaust all the possible responses. By adhering to these techniques, you are putting less pressure on the respondents to answer the questions in a particular way. Secondly, don't use leading questions. A leading question suggests that there is a right answer. If you ask, "How great is our new customization feature?" you are suggesting to the respondent that the feature is great. What's more, this scaled question is set up incorrectly. There are more satisfied options, so the respondents aren't really given the option to complain at all. Don't use double-barreled questions. Double-barreled questions ask for more than one thing. Even if you provide the option to answer the question in text form, this will make it very difficult to analyze. Split the question into two questions that can be made closed-ended. This can also help minimize the risk of survey fatigue. Don't use absolute questions. You can think of absolute questions as yes or no, or always and never question. Always try to include an in-between option. This is not only because there is rarely a situation when someone can absolutely say always or never, but respondents in the same situation might also give you different answers due to subjectivity. Note that this question also assumes that the respondents read emails in the morning, which is not necessarily true. Such a question may also make respondents feel like the question was designed poorly or with an agenda, and they will neglect to give it proper attention. Don't use unclear questions. Unclear questions tire and frustrate respondents, making them feel like their feedback won't be helpful. Avoid technical terminology, abbreviations, or acronyms that your respondents may not be familiar with. And never ask for things that respondents will have to look up. They will almost surely abandon the survey. If possible, don't ask for demographic or personal information. Starting off very personal may steer your respondents away from completing your survey. What's more, a lot of this information can be gathered automatically. Survicate collects different user attributes depending on your chosen distribution method. Give your respondents the option not to answer. There will almost always be someone for whom a question is inapplicable or uncomfortable. Respondents may answer untruthfully or opt out of the survey altogether. The solution is to include a prefer not to answer or skip option. Try to provide all possible answers in closed-ended questions. If you are ever unsure whether you exhausted all the possibilities, adding an other please specify option is always a good idea. In Survicate, you can add a comment field to any closed-ended question and any option to make sure the respondent has to provide some more detail before moving on to the next question. Also, if you are constructing questions with many answer choices, like ones asking for age or a country, Survicate has an add multiple choices at once that makes this process a lot faster. You can simply copy and paste a whole list of options you want to include. Provide an incentive to complete your survey. Let your respondents know what they are going to gain if they heed proper attention to your survey. Inform them how important this data is to you and that you will use it to make their experience better. But be careful, it's very easy to skew results with an improper incentive. You have to make sure that the incentive is available to all participants and not only ones that answer the survey in a particular way. Resurvey non-respondents. Most people will only fill out a survey if they are able to complete it the moment they see it for the first time. Think about it. Have you ever gone gone through all the emails looking for surveys that you can complete? Likely not. In case there was someone that was willing to give feedback but wasn't able to respond immediately, resurvey non-respondents. If you're ever unsure of how to construct your questions or surveys, use our templates and our question bank. We've spent hours crafting questions that cover all sorts of topics, so you don't have to. If you want to forego the design and testing process, you can rely on readily made survey content.